she was a president, she would be Abraham Lincoln.
She would be Abraham Lincoln.
Babylicious.
I was about to say, she'd be Babylicious. Whatever happened to her? Tia Korea.
I don't know.
She was playing in bands, right?
I think so.
Trying to scope who's in the band from back in the day.
Oh, this is awesome.
Looks like a Days of Five show.
We're showing Blacksburg back in the day.
Oh, that. I love this woman.
Hey, Raymond, collect something with a line, please. And would you get me a towel?
It's the smooth move.
Wow, you're really well.
Thanks. Hey, you're that party time guy on TV, Wayne, right?
Yes, and you are
Cassandra.
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 Rough night, huh?
Yeah.
Everybody's kung fu fighting.
Yeah. Well, nice meeting you.
Hey, hold on. Can I call you sometime?
You got $5, you can come to the red party. It's at my loft.
I'm there.
I gotta go. The club owner's trying to dig me out of some money.
Okay.
That'd be Lou. Look at that. That's
That
Lou.
bass player's a babe. She makes me feel kind of funny. Like when we used to climb the rope in gym class.
She will be mine. Oh, yes. She will be mine.
Oh, yeah. Look at that transition.
Now, no more fucking around. It's Wild Style Radio. Wild Style Radio. Radio.
Stand up and shine! Party time! Excellent!
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
Cool.
Right on. Excellent.
How's it going?
Sweet. Happy Halloween, Garth.
Happy Halloween, Wayne.
I know. I see you got a Halloween treat.
We call it
Cheers.
trick or drink.
I don't think that ever happened on the actual Wayne's World. I don't think that they were ever...
Hey, we're rewriting the rules.
What were the rules of public access television? Were you allowed to sip on a Miller Lite in public access television?
Well, it was public access television, so
Yeah.
I don't know that there were rules.
There was no FCC regulations?
I don't think there were.
It was not the internet, boys and girls.
That is correct.
We're obviously the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show coming to you from the Salisbury Center here on Halloween night.
Halloween night, the Wild Style Network.
Fueled by Monster Energy and
Yes.
a couple Miller Lights
Absolutely.
on Halloween. And there's Halloween festivities, so you might be hearing some bass in the background.
Bass and drums.
Yes, there's a little...
Got a little costume party getting ready to kick off in a little bit.
John, what is the band's name that's rehearsing right now?
I'm gonna go with Alexander Van Stone and the Fiend Club.
Okay, all right. It's
not Last Caress.
It's a passion project, right? It's not an actual. You're not going to find them advertising and playing in local pubs and clubs near you.
Yeah, I think Passion Project would be a good term.
All right,
Yeah.
I love it. All right, so that they're going to play.
So they're not on Spotify.
They're not on spot. They're going to play Misfit covers tonight.
Misfit covers. Yeah, maybe try Kazam or LimeWire. Might be able to find some.
I heard little emo happening. I heard some Fallout Boy a little earlier.
I didn't catch it.
Scott was down there.
That's because Scott's playing DJ. He's got a very limited playlist.
Yeah.
Fallout Boy, Nickelback,
Nickelback's not emo.
Taylor Swift.
I love it. So, because we were talking to Salisbury Center folk, they weren't really sure who we were.
Yeah.
You know?
It just means we're old, man. And Wayne's World is old.
Wayne's World was the shit. That was
It was.
It was a great Saturday Night Live main featured Saturday Night Live sketch before it was a movie. There was, what, 3 movies?
At least two.
At least
yeah.
2. I remember 2.
But yeah, I mean, it was a regular skit, and it was usually the intro into a lot of the the live shows.
Right.
They do a top 10 countdown, and then the last one was live from New York. It's Saturday night.
Exactly. Do you have I know mine because I think that we were texting a little bit over the costumes, of course. This is all natural hair, by the way.
I've just been hiding it all these years.
I know the Garth look, and you chose the glasses on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you go to the glasses. That's when I know when it gets serious in here is when you go. To
My
the
inner nerd has to come out.
All right, but no, but
you could also moonlight as a slap shot. Put a little tape on the.
I know. My regret though, because John was just talking, and we were talking about the Wayne's World movie. They were featured in that movie, like the whole sound crew.
Yep, they were.
We could have dressed up John too.
Yeah, the production guys had a full-on role in the movie.
John is not amused.
Happy to participate however you need me to.
It's after the fact now.
Next year.
You wouldn't have looked.
There's always next year.
You wouldn't have looked too different. Quite honestly. You would have had like a Wayne's World hat.
I got it covered then. I came prepared.
Yeah, I mean that was 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
So I was, I definitely have some favorite memories of that. But I actually last night and today was skimming through on YouTube watching a bunch of the old ones, stuff that I didn't remember. So it was great. In the comments, like people were like, "Oh, this was the classic era of Saturday Night Live," and I'm like, I don't know about that.
That's tough. That's
but,
tough.
Definitely there are. It was up there, right? With the characters they had.
That's the key word. That's what I was thinking. Is characters.
Yep.
There's not. I'm not to get into Saturday Night Live too much on a rock show, but
Right.
they don't really do characters anymore.
No, yeah, it's a
Like
lot of it right
recurring.
now. It's political.
Exactly. There's but like back, even as early as like maybe the mid 2010s, there was like I think Kristen Wiig, like outside of this, like doing recurring, like the Target lady, like a recurring character.
Yeah, I don't think, kind of since the Molly Shannons, the Mike Myers, all those guys have kind of moved on, that there has been a character that's really kind of stuck in their skits.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Myers, who did Wayne, did Austin Powers.
Right.
Was not a Saturday Night Live character.
No.
He just did that on his own, in his own comic genius, kind of way.
Well, it was interesting. They also said Wayne's World. You think about it now, how many different movies have spun out of SNL characters or skits.
Right.
They said Wayne's World was only the second movie that came out of a Saturday Night Live skit.
Really?
Yeah.
There weren't more, but
there have been more. I guess they all came out after Wayne's World. Blues Brothers.
That's what I was going to go
was
first.
the first one.
Right.
And
we could have done that too.
We could have, for sure.
Jake and Elmo.
Well, we could quote those quotes all night long.
Exactly. Right. We're on a mission from God.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
So, yeah,
And social media, one of our posts at some point, I think it was late last year, gave Wayne's World shouts to us.
Oh, did they?
They said Wayne's World, like it was just one of the comments, like in all caps. I took it as a huge honor. I don't know if it was supposed to be a dig. I don't know if it was supposed to be an honor. It was in one of our reels or shorts or something, but I mean, it was like in the classic Wayne's World's a party kind of feel to it.
Yeah, party on.
Party on, Garth, exactly. So like there was like exclamation marks and horns and all kinds of good stuff along with the Wayne's World. So I took it, I have to admit, like it stuck with me. So
Right.
like, we should actually embrace it.
Yeah, one of the other comments I saw on one of the videos today said, "Oh, unfortunately, it would have been great if Wayne and Garth had gotten to meet Bill and Ted." I was like, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
The two classic 90 duo characters.
Yeah. My favorite Wayne's World moment. Yeah, it was you were still like thumbing through the sketches. I know mine stands out like for me was when Wayne kind of like daydreamed about fantasizing himself into Madonna's Justify My Love video. And of course Garth was in there too. Right. And that was when, the Madonna Book of Sex came out.
Right.
And she was in her sexual experimentation phase and she had to publicize a book about it, of course, make millions off of it kind of deal. And then she did that greatest hits album, The Immaculate Collection, and there was like 2 singles on it, right? And that was like one of them was just so she released the video. Remember, like that was
It's all black and white.
And it was just a huge release, like back when it was just a huge thing to release a video.
Well, yeah, it was in the midst of the MTV when they actually showed music videos on MTV.
It was like a midnight release, right? It was almost like that was the day that you would first see the video, so they were going to release it at midnight.
Right, and they told you what times it was going to be on.
Right.
Much like when Thriller came out.
Right.
You know, so yeah, it was huge back then.
And then like Wayne and Garth got a hold of it and interjected themselves into, and that was so risque, right? And then for a while that they wouldn't even play that video before 10 p.m.
Yep.
It was like from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. they'd only run that video. And then eventually that broke down. I mean, today, I'm going to guess by like today's standards. You know what I mean? It's right? But so like it was like this risque, and then of course Wayne and Garth had to interject themselves into the sexual melee of that video.
I remember that one.
Oh my God, was that funny. So like, there you go. If you don't know your Wayne's World and you want a place to start, go with the Justify My Love video from Madonna.
And they have them all on YouTube.
Just all that search, Wayne's World, Justify My Love, and you will see Wayne, and there's a side panel of you, Garth, like a side profile shot where he's doing the dance, and then he has the bulge, you know, it's like he's doing...
Feeling funny down there.
Exactly. And it was amazing. I think that was probably, I mean, there's a lot of great moments, but that, like when we were talking like about doing this, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. Not necessarily to do it in the Justify My Love video, but
mine was the Aerosmith when they were on there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten Tom Hanks played a roadie.
Sipowicz. Yeah, the Sipowicz.
Yep. And then the other one that I saw today that I had forgotten about was when
have you ever made love
dreamt
to
into
two women
Melrose
at
Place,
the same
and
time?
he was hooking up with Heather Locklear.
Yes, I forgot about that. That was a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
I got that Madonna video if you want it.
Sure.
Let's see it.
A little clip. Wanting.
Truth or Dare.
Oh, that's right. They were playing Truth or Dare. It was on our Truth or Dare.
Have you ever made love to two women at the same
We're doing a
time?
little I don't know if we have the audio for it, but yeah. There we
Yes.
go.
I believe you. Truth or Dare.
Truth.
Have you ever made love to two women at the same time?
Yes.
I believe you. Not. Yeah, you might.
Yep.
And monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Good one, Madonna.
Thanks, Gar.
Okay, Madonna. Okay. Truth or Dare.
That was. I mean, that's a great lead-in though, John, because that's how the fantasy started. Because that was Madonna's movie too. It was around that time, Truth or Dare. When that was like we talked about these rock documentaries. She was kind of the first that I remember having like at least a movie release,
Right.
you know, not like I don't know, straight to video or on a TV show or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, because most of when we were in high school, the Motley Crue Uncensored, all of that was just straight to video.
Exactly.
You had to go buy the VHS tape.
Yes, exactly.
Not DVD or Blu-ray.
Kevin,
VHS.
I can't get by. I've never seen you blonde. Yeah, I telling Kevin earlier. So some people just asked me if I dyed my hair. I guess I'm not too far off of Wayne. Normally,
Just have to wear a baseball cap more.
I guess. I know. All right. Well, you want to talk some current rock and roll?
Let's do it.
All
Some
right,
heavy happenings.
We have some heavy happenings. If we can get some bands up here, we'll talk to them in a little bit. But we'll start until then because there's been some news. I almost feel like there's a lot of follow-up because we've had such big news off and on over the past several months that a lot of this is kind of an extension of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we want to kick it off?
Speaking of rock docs. All right. So
Well, that one's at the end.
but- you're kicking off with Primus? Did I
Yeah.
go backwards when I looked at your notes? I must have went backwards because I had that at the end.
Yeah. So heavy happening number
Man,
one.
I tell you, I feel like it's the year of bad news.
It seems like, at least lately, maybe it's the end of the year type deal.
I know.
So this article came out on Livewire. It's been out on a couple of different publications. So a couple days ago, Primus is drummer Tim Alexander.
Goes by Herb.
Herb.
So
Herb announced, and I guess blindsided the other two members of the band
over email. Send an email
he
message.
broke up with them over email.
Not even a text, but I mean, it's kind of like middle old school, right? Like he shot an email message to, Les Claypool.
But said he's leaving the band.
I know, it's stunning. I'm so glad that I saw them, a couple months ago with them, because then it's going to do what it's happened to me with a lot of bands this year, and it's derail them. And Primus is strong.
Well, and the interesting thing is they just announced, and we have tickets.
Yeah.
For is it April?
Yeah.
I think in April, they're playing with Pussifer and A Perfect Circle.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So it sounds like, obviously there's been no announcement, but I don't imagine they're going to pull off the tour. It's not the first time he's left the band either.
Exactly right. There's an on and off thing here with Herb. I guess he goes through his moods and phases and so forth. But right now, the thing that we went back and forth over, probably in between this show and last show, was the Live in the Sand festival,
right
down in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, because it looks like just a bitchin' festival in the Dominican Republic in March.
Yeah, they're on that as well.
Right. So Tool, Primus, Mastodon, Coheed and Cambria, Eagles of Death Metal, who I love, King's X, of course, I love them. Right. Fishbone's without Norwood Fisher, so I don't know how I'd feel about that. But those, to me, are the big bands that are doing basically a 2-day festival at the Hard Rock Resort and Casino in Punta Cana. I would love to be there for that. But Danny Carey from Tool, who's a beast.
Yep.
We could probably make a show out of this, but it might be a controversial statement. Like, he's right there with Neil Peart for me, and I know the Neil Peart heads are like rabidly loyal to him, but Danny Carey is right there, step for step.
Absolutely, he's an amazing drummer, and just the structure of the Tool songs, the time changes, and like early Metallica with a lot of different time changes within each song. He's a beast.
Solid, super solid.
And he has actually sat in for Primus.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, that's easy. He, Pussifer, Maynard is in both bands.
Exactly.
So I'm like, oh, Danny Carey's going to just do double duty. And then I remembered he's not the drummer in A Perfect Circle.
Right.
So maybe he's just going to come out and play with Primus for that tour.
I know. So I'm hopeful. That would be a lifesaver easily. Right. That would be one guy that could step in and pull it all off. So hopefully that'll still happen. But
yeah.
Right. So, getting back to, Tim Herb Alexander, they're classic albums to me. He's on all of those,
right?
And kind of missed the middle phase of them. So I love Fizzle Fry. So Fizzle Fry, Sailing the Seas of Cheese, Pork Soda, Tales from the Punch Bowl, like those first 4 super solid, heavy Primus albums he was a part of, and then kind of like missed the middle piece and came back for more recent albums.
Yep.
So it's also the feel of it all, right? Like, you can get a technical drummer that could come in and probably pull off the parts, but it's not the feel of the original band. So,
well, and not a lot of details either as to why he left.
Right.
So I assume some more of that'll come out here.
There's too much bad news this year. 2024 has not been the best news for some hard rock bands. I feel like we've been reporting too many fights and breakups and tours not coming through.
Drama.
It's been too much drama. Yes, we need some more bright spots.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. So, all right, heavy happening number 2.
This I don't know if this is necessarily brighter news, but yeah. So Ghost.
We haven't talked about Ghost too much.
We have not.
Yeah.
Jake, my oldest son, is a huge Ghost fan.
Yeah.
So I've never seen them live. They just announced that they're doing a tour. Supposed to kick off in April, running through September. And I guess at a recent show back this past September, which they recorded for a live DVD release, they recorded the show and they banned cameras during that show.
Yes.
Well, now they announce, and we've had conversations about this, shooting the entire concert or large portions of the concert. Is that good concert etiquette?
Exactly.
Because you're blocking people's views. And do you really need to have 2.5 hours of the band performing.
Shitty audio quality on those phones.
Right.
You're not going to get a good recording. You're not going to get good sound back out of it, like what you're actually hearing live.
Right. So, I mean, going back to Maynard, he's been a very big advocate about no cameras. He doesn't want to see people, videoing their performances, whether
I've been to Tool shows where people were thrown out.
Yeah.
Or pulling out the cameras.
So Ghost has announced that cameras will be banned during all of their shows of this upcoming tour, which I thought was...
And locked.
So
they're confiscated.
Yeah, so they're using
They're going the comedies. The
Yep,
comedian routine, the lock bags.
The yonder bag. So you keep your phone, but it has to go into that bag that somehow is magnetically sealed, which I've never experienced that, but I think you were at a comedy show where you had to do that.
Several. So and it sucks. Like it just because it's also like, John, you're bringing it up too. Have you had that happen to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's a super brick that sits somewhere on your person.
Yes.
Like you can't like put it in your pocket real easy.
And if it buzzes, it's like the OCD is like driving you mental.
Right,
You can't check it, and you have to go walk outside the room and get them to unlock it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well, I know that you can't, like with an Apple Watch, you can't take pictures or video.
Right.
But at least if someone's texting you, you would still be able to see those messages.
they lock those down at the comedy shows too.
Do they? Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
Everything went in the bag.
Okay.
No, Garth, I'm wondering what about glasses now with the cameras in them?
Yeah.
So you can pull them off.
some Ed
and,
glasses.
Yeah, there you go. And then you can go film your favorite show.
Be kind of like let the music do the talking.
Yeah.
Didn't one of those people have glasses that had a
that's
camera
right.
on
That's
it
right.
in the
Yeah.
video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I forgot about that. But yeah, like it's the other thing too. Like when you want to leave the show, then you got to find the people to unlock the bags. And of course, thousands of people are trying to find the people to unlock the bags.
Well, that was the question I had, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do they just suddenly, like, are they on timers, and then all of a sudden when the show is over, they open up and you just drop the bag on your way out?
It's like buying the clothes, with that tag in it. So the anti-shoplifting tag, and the cashier has to swipe something over it to make that go away. It's the same process. So people are like swarmed around bouncers, getting out and like having those bags popped open so you can get your phone back out and get going.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we go to a ton of shows. So, and it's not, I don't think that we're abusing that privilege.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather take in most of the show.
Right.
But I do want to snap pictures here and there, either for social media or, just capture some of the moment.
Right.
But we've been to plenty of shows where these guys and women just sit on their phone the whole time, recording it. And it's like, of course, it's usually the guy that's in front of me that's 6'7".
Right.
So he's already blocking me.
Right.
And then he's got his arms up the whole time.
Right.
So to me, that's disruptive, but there's got to be, I think there's some middle ground in there.
It's the pick your poison on the jerk fan, like when we do our would you rathers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can throw that like same type of fan in there too. I know some people live stream the shows. I've seen that. And I've seen and then I've seen also that being intercepted by people at the show and then shutting that down somehow, or approaching and finding those people and either ask them to stop, and if not, then they're going to be removed. Because of course, then you're just really just broadcasting the show as opposed to even recording it to whoever, wherever that's going to go.
Yeah.
So like a dead giveaway, right, is you got that infrared light on the back of your camera, and if all the camera's supposed to be put away, and they can check and they see that infrared light going off, they find you pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
It's impressive, like at our fights here in the building, the camera's picking up people's face. It looks like everyone's taking photos, but it's really just that IR light going off 1,000 times, constantly looking for a face. So yeah, I'm sure if all the cameras are supposed to be locked up, they can find them fairly quickly.
Yeah. And the reasoning that behind it, that was expressed by Ghost is in those shows that you were talking about where they experimented with this, was they felt that the audience was engaged in the show in a way that they've never been engaged before. But I don't know, I don't know. Do you think that's a little self-indulgent?
I would think so.
I feel like everybody, when we complain about these people, right, that will record, somehow they're getting some type of enjoyment out of that. I don't know. It's not the same, because I know how we enjoy a show.
Sure.
We like to have some beverages and, you know what I mean? Like get into it and be focused and sing along a little bit. Then you're right. Like maybe pop off a picture or two. put it away, and then get back into it again.
Maybe they've had too many beverages, so they record the whole show just so they can remember the next day what they saw.
Yeah, because you as a fan and a fan experience, to me, like if you're focusing on recording, that's what you're paying attention to. So you're not paying attention to the band. But I don't know, like I still see thousands of eyeballs still watching those bands, and not everybody's doing that. So I don't know.
You were talking about consuming a beverage, then it made me think about like Apple Pay or Google Pay, like having to get your phone unlocked.
That's a good
so
point.
You can use that. Like I wonder how much it
Yeah.
slows down processes where maybe they would have got extra sales if they didn't have the phones locked up. Maybe they could have sold stuff in the stands. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Like, I guess I think what we're saying there, Kevin, is that I think we're fans of people keeping their phones, just not using their phones.
Not the entire time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, right.
I think it's funny too,
Tread lightly.
when we went to see Dirty Honey and the band Feel not too long ago, which I don't want to derail too much, but the band Feel's EP came out. Have you heard it?
I have not heard that yet.
Fucking
No.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came out last week. So
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah. So check it out if you want some good new rock music.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget which of the Dirty Honey ballads they were playing, and all the phones are on flashlight.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, that's true too. You have to bring a lighter back in to get
Right.
into the power ballad all over again. Right.
I'm not sure Ghost is doing too many of those.
Yeah,
but
that's a good
anyway,
point.
it's like,
Yeah.
and looking around, it's like, God, man, back in the day,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
whole place would have been Bic lighters lit up.
Right.
So,
I did. I had concert lighters strategically placed around the house in, my younger years, just so I remembered to grab one as I was walking out, because you had to be equipped for that
That's
moment. All right, we're going total throwback tonight. The Wayne's World brought it out in us. By the way, Wayne's World, big Aerosmith fans. Like
Yeah.
we're talking about like the end of Aerosmith. You brought that as like one of your favorite Wayne's World moments.
Mm-hmm.
That was like Aerosmith had like to me two peaks, and that was the second peak of Aerosmith.
oh, for sure.
The peak that Daniel Ruin complains about, where he says he doesn't because there was so many power ballads that were rolling out of them.
Well, yeah, during the Wayne's World time, that would have been Pump.
Uh-huh.
And then the next album,
Get a Grip.
was where they really went off the deep end with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But I don't remember them necessarily like throwing out a lot of power ballads in the Wayne's World environment.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. But, it gets back to that too. Just what an amazing band, Aerosmith. Tragic loss, for 2024.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm sorry to bring it.
More bad news.
Sorry to bring another downer into the. It's almost like this ties into some of the conversation that we're about to have about this next topic,
For sure.
which is Gohira's vocalist, John Duplantier, John Duplantier, had some great interview comments about something that we've talked about and we're following up on, about major events, especially U.S. major events, needing shots of metal injected into their entertainment.
Yes.
Their live entertainment specifically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And and obviously during the Olympics when they performed, and we came on our next episode and just raved about how great that was.
Yes.
And the exposure.
It was amazing.
It was totally amazing.
Yeah.
And that has kind of continued. And so he was on the Jackie something metal podcast.
Oh man, what's her name? She has a catchy last name.
Yeah, I have the link here.
No.
But so she asked John Duplantier, what event in the U.S., big event, needs a shot of metal? And of course, he's,
Lockstep with us, baby.
Absolutely,
Right
right
on,
with
right-
us.
uh-huh.
And we've talked about this before.
Yep.
And, he said it's got to be the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That is, the biggest U.S. event that has eyes on it, similar to the Olympics.
Right.
Probably more than the Olympics in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Or at least the opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
But, and worldwide too. And, his first response was, I think his personal preference was that it's Meshuggah,
Yes.
which
Is not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
I mean, it's a great idea,
Right.
A great band, and we could have probably said the same thing about Gohira at the Olympic opening ceremony. that there might have been bigger names that would have been approached for that.
But because it was in Paris,
Exactly.
and they're French,
Right.
And he said the band that's got to do this, that deserves the opportunity, should have already done it.
Yeah.
Exactly what we've been saying. Fucking Metallica.
Who we just bought tickets for are filling up stadiums.
Yep.
So it's not a matter of eyeballs and asses in seats and people with interest. That's there because we just bought 2 sets of stadium tickets ourselves.
Right.
At 2 major stadiums. By the way, what's bigger, Lane Stadium or FedEx?
Oh, it's definitely FedEx Northwest Field.
Okay. All
I
right.
think that for football, that's right up around 80,000.
Gotcha.
And then obviously they're packing the field and all that stuff too.
But Lane is
it's up there.
Yeah,
I
I was
think
gonna
it's
say.
about between 55 and
That's what I was
65,000.
gonna guess, yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be packed,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be awesome. And yeah, I mean, from the rock music perspective, in terms of Spotify streams and Apple Music streams, they are the band. Well, apparently Sleep Token outperformed them last year as a metal band, but relative to the Taylor Swifts and the other pop and the big country names right now, Metallica's right up there with most of them.
Absolutely.
Not
Fill-in
maybe the
stadium.
same amount of followers, but in terms of ticket sales and venues and all of that stuff, Metallica's there.
Absolutely. Oh.
And it is
We
time.
have the police. Police are coming into Wayne's World. And this time the police are distributing beverages. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
More treats.
So yeah, I agree with him completely, and we've talked about it. They deserve it. It should not be Kendrick Lamar this year. It should have been Metallica, following on the heels of the Olympics.
I'm with you. Okay, so I did a little homework on this one. So like I did just looked back on past Super Bowl halftime shows and what would be specifically considered to me a rock act in those shows. Not necessarily a hard rock or a metal act, but
Right.
just a rock act, just a general act. And there's some trends there. So the first one that I saw, what I have labeled that, would have been ZZ Top, but the ZZ Top, it was a medley style with the Blues Brothers and James Brown.
Okay, I
So
remember
it
that.
was kind of a blues
Sure.
medley, kind of deal. Then, as we're talking Aerosmith, 97 jumps to 2001, and you have Aerosmith
But with Britney Spears.
and NSYNC. So then they even labeled that the kings of rock and pop.
Okay.
So Aerosmith at the time, like we talk about the peaks and valleys of Aerosmith, this was at the peak of Don't Close My Eyes. So that was the only #1 song that they had, and it's a very sappy power ballad that was written for that Asteroid movie with Bruce Willis in it, kind of deal.
Yep.
So again, it's not a standalone rock act. The first standalone rock act that I saw was the next year, 2002, was U2. Irish band, not a U.S. band.
Okay.
All right. So then the next go around, the next year, Shania Twain, No Doubt. There's your rock and roll with No Doubt, and Sting. So again, a medley act. And then in 2006, to me, where you're starting to get into kind of some of the stuff that I feel is more justified for us, 2006 is the Rolling Stones. But that is an older Rolling Stones.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's not at their peak. 2007 was Prince. That to me, I think, did we do a show on favorite Super Bowl acts? Or we just kind of
talked
alluded
about
to
it.
it?
I think during the last Super Bowl.
Exactly. And that's my standout. That's my #1. So no big reveal there. 2008's Tom Petty with the Heartbreakers, more rock and roll. Yep. 2009, Bruce Springsteen. So there we get some American rock between Prince, Tom Petty, and Bruce Springsteen. Not necessarily any hard rock or metal. And then 2010, you have The Who, which is another great, amazing, even for its day, a hard rock act. But I remember there was a lot of criticism about The Who being there at their age. And it was like it wasn't an angry criticism, but an unfortunate criticism. And so I kind of feel like those are the two trends, right? Like you get these acts in and you try to blend them to market them differently. And then it winds up sucking. It's just not. I remember also, maybe I overlooked this one too. I remember the Red Hot Chili Peppers being there with Bruno Mars. And to me, like when you blend NSYNC with Aerosmith, it depletes and kind of upsets both fan bases because you're not getting good pure Aerosmith and you're not getting good pure NSYNC, and they're trying to find this middle ground. And in trying to find that middle ground with the songs that are performing, it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't make as much sense, and it's just not as good. It doesn't come together really. And I think finding that kind of synergy between two different styles of rock is very difficult. And that was definitely Bruno Mars. That was the only time I know the Red Hot Chili Peppers, to me, has famously talked about this, the only time they ever lip synced, and the only time they've ever regretted and they remembered why they never wanted to lip sync, and how horrible that they thought that show was, as they interjected a little bit of Red Hot Chili Peppers in the middle of Bruno Mars. But again, it's a forced collaboration. It doesn't really meld well together. And then the other piece to me, which is a bit of a trend, maybe less so, like U2 is probably the best example of somebody in a good place, of course, Prince too, is that you get kind of acts on the downside of their career, which is unfortunate because you have excellent major acts that are out there that could be killing it, like Metallica, because Metallica's older, but they're still filling stadiums. I don't want to see them 10 years from now, further down the road, you know, and not playing at the same level that they're playing right now.
Well, and you hear the music and we've talked about this too. It's like the filler music in NFL and other sporting events is all rock, for the most part. So it's like, you're hearing Enter Sandman, you're hearing For Whom the Bell Tolls. You know, they were doing that during the World Series. I heard it like 4 or 5 times in both Dodger Stadium and Yankee Stadium, playing For Whom the Bell Tolls.
We've heard Dirty Honey.
We have heard Dirty Honey.
As a less famous name.
Absolutely.
They're still, like, their clips are so good that they're being played with all of these other larger acts that you're listing right now.
Yeah. I mean, you could even do a rock medley and have someone like Dirty Honey and the Black Crowes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that would...
Kind of like what happened last year, right? With the hip hop medley.
Right.
And I think you hit that nail on the head. It's the same genre. So it mixes together. It's not NSYNC and Britney Spears, which could mix together, and then Aerosmith. You know, like, you know, don't mix, I don't know, vodka and Coke.
Don't
like,
put the chocolate in my peanut butter.
It just doesn't mix. Like, you have to find the chocolate and the peanut butter that actually does mix. And I don't know where that is, but you have to kind of, to me, sort through that. And so, I mean, The Who was 2010.
Well, yeah, so it's been 14 or 15 years.
14 years since there was a rock act involved with the Super Bowl halftime show, which is very unfortunate because, and again, like I lean back to the American rock acts. I know that we've talked about the downside of them. The Foo Fighters would work really well.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be another, to me,
you could even put Metallica and the Foo Fighters out there together.
And they would blend together. Both of those bands are great examples of bands that do like to cross-pollinate with other rock acts.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to put Metallica with Taylor Swift.
No.
You know, I mean, there are two huge names, right? But I don't know if they would mix. The one time I saw that happen that I felt was when Lady Gaga fronted Metallica at the Grammys. And I was stunned at how well that worked.
Right. I thought that was going to be a dumpster fire. And it was awesome.
Yeah. And so whoever knew, but I think that's that's 1 in a million kind of happenings.
For sure.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my Super Bowl rant. Like, I'm with, Gohira on this one. I do feel that there needs to be something. And Dee Snider, I think that we were talking about this in the context of Dee Snider before, like how he was ranting about this also.
Yep.
I think that the Gohira example also presented how you could do this culturally very well and present it as a part of your national culture.
Right.
It's not even just about, well, it should be metal just because we love metal. It's not a part of that. That's a part of the fabric of the United States, and there's great U.S. rock acts that we haven't taken advantage of seeing in that venue, which is a huge cultural venue for the whole country.
Probably the most American cultural venue that's out there.
Right.
So
I feel like, like I said, the big names to me that would be on the downside that we've missed, very unfortunately, would be Van Halen. You're not going to get Van Halen very obviously back out there unless it was some type of, fill-in experience, which wouldn't be the same. And Aerosmith. And I don't know if Aerosmith could still, it would be maybe an experience like The Who. They probably still could pull something off, but it wouldn't look the same as it would have, unfortunately, 10 to 20 years ago.
Well, you could do, taking the sort of Eddie Van Halen tribute that Sammy and those guys did this summer, taking that out of the mix. You could do that if you could get, and it would never happen, if you could get Sammy and Dave to just coexist.
Yeah.
and for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you did that with Alex and Michael Anthony and
Wolfgang.
Wolfie playing the guitar
Absolutely.
parts.
Yes.
That I think
could
works.
Yeah, could come together.
But that's the only way you would be able to do that, and it'd be Van Halen.
Sure. Either way, it really needs to happen. I mean, I'm glad. I think, you know, Kendrick Lamar is a great hip hop act and it's current. So I'm glad that it's having its moment, but it's also time for our genre to have its moment too.
I agree.
Because it hasn't really, and what will now be, because this is already announced, it will be 15 years, not even 14 years. Somebody just walked in. Oh, and that was, oh, wait a minute. All right. There we go. All right. So wait. Yeah. Nightmare Before Christmas. Exactly, yes. We got a little Nightmare Before Christmas coming into the sound studio. Love it.
Well, let's hit the last one here.
That was very distracting in a fun way.
So our last heavy happening, it was recently announced that coming out at the beginning of the new year, 2025, on Netflix, there will be, we talk about great rock docs. Hopefully this one's going to be great, but there's going to be an Iron Maiden documentary coming out in the upcoming year on Netflix, and I'm pretty excited about that.
All right, but Kevin, I've read about this more.
Yeah.
That's a hoax.
Is it?
It's an internet hoax, yes.
All
So
right.
I didn't know when you sent out the story that you were going to talk about the story or talk about the hoax.
Well, it's been advertised on a couple of reputable
Yes, Access TV.
rock sites as well.
Access TV, right. So like I was digging through and like going through the debunk facts about this, which is kind of interesting. So like in the worlds of all of our fake news and hoaxes and that kind of stuff, like why does it stand out? Why, like what you're bringing up, like why would people grab onto this and want it so much? Is for that reason, because we want it so much. Like there is like recognition that needs to be done for Iron Maiden, because they have been an unsung band at the end of its day for a long amount of years.
Well, yeah, and so the thought that something like this was in production, going to come out, and then we got the unfortunate news last week that Paul Di'Anno, the original singer, passed away. So it's like me personally thinking, I sure hope if this is happening that they got to talk to him to get his perspective on the band and all of that, as part of this documentary. But if it's not happening, then,
So evidently that title line has been used again and again in different places, but hasn't taken off to the capacity that this has. So like what you're saying, like more major news media outlets grabbing a hold of it, or just kind of repeated in social media and people's accounts like over and over again. Because it just gets back to the Hall of Fame thing too, right? Like there's just not enough recognition for a band. I guess maybe like their silver lining is that they still sell out arenas.
for sure,
Not stadiums,
yeah,
but
they were
arenas.
just here in October, and
Every seat
Baltimore.
was sold.
Yep.
Every seat was sold. And so like to their credit, they have a wicked loyal fan base that, that we don't see with other bands, that as they age, their fan base kind of like ages out, and you don't see them coming back out for them.
Well, and they certainly got slighted by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame again.
Right.
So the hope was that maybe that's going to generate some publicity and some more push to right that wrong.
Right.
And get these guys the recognition they deserve.
Right. So in other words, there's a lot of copycat. That was some of the evidence of the hoax that I've read about. The other piece was that there is no Netflix announcement. Like if you go to Netflix, the announcement doesn't rest there. So that's just obviously additional evidence. But there is the nugget that I guess Iron Maiden has released. They are working on a documentary, and it's titled Run to the Hills, the story of Iron Maiden. But they have not given a release date, and they have not given a distributor. So the band themselves is putting something together, but nobody knows. So that's exciting. So that's the good piece. Also, the director, what they've listed it in the information that's continuing to be copied and placed in different places. David Morgan has made no announcement about this documentary. Also, so like the original sources have not done this. It's coming from somewhere else.
Got it.
And then that's why it.
So there is a documentary.
There is a documentary.
So-
That's the good news in all of this.
May not be on Netflix.
May not be on Netflix, and we don't know when. It might not be 2025 even. But I mean, after even seeing like it's apples to oranges comparing the two bands, but after seeing Nickelback, that documentary, that was a great documentary.
It was.
So you want that type of acknowledgement and that type of recognition to go Iron Maiden's way also.
Yeah, and that would be a great venue and avenue for it. I mean, a lot of the stuff is being produced. Recent rock docs have been produced by MTV Productions, so that's going through the Viacom Paramount Plus avenue streaming service. So, which is good. It's still not of the same level as a Hulu or a Netflix quite yet. But,
Right.
But it's there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there we go.
All right.
Party on, Garth.
Party on, Wayne.
Shwing. Wayne's World. Wayne's World. Party time. Excellent. All right. Happy Halloween, kids. We might be back up here with a band. I don't know. We'll have to see how the rest of this night goes.
See you soon.